Barbara Spink was born November 7th, 1926 in Castile, New York. She was the second of 5 children born to Gerald and Doris Soden. She grew up in the small western New York town along with 1 brother and 3 sisters. She was a fine student who excelled in academics, sports, and music. She became an outstanding pianist in high school and later learned to play the organ. She graduated from high school in 1944. As a young girl, Barbara was invited to church by her neighbors and began attending the Castile Baptist Church, where she was eventually baptized and became a member. At age 12, she went to summer camp with other kids from this church. It was at the Laternal Christian Camp on Canandaigua Lake in New York where she responded to an invitation and trusted Christ. It was also at Laternal Christian Camp where Barbara met a handsome young teenage boy named Stephen Spink. She struck him out in a softball game, and then he shoved her off the dock into the lake for revenge.
He pushed me off into the water.
And they've been arguing about that for about 65 years now. Nevertheless, a budding relationship began. The mystique of romance persisted throughout their high school years. After Steve graduated from high school in 1942, he was drafted into the Navy. He began his basic training at Sampson Naval Base on Seneca Lake in New York in March of 1943. While there, he came down with scarlet fever and was sent home to recover. When he recovered, he was sent to Indiana, then to Oklahoma, and finally, San Francisco. The letters started to flow back and forth regularly. After Barbara graduated from high school in 1944, she went to airline school in Kansas City for 3 months. She then landed a job as an airline radio phone operator and was sent to Washington, D.C. In 1945, the airline sent her to Detroit. In the meantime, Steve was sent to Chicago. Their romance was in full bloom by this time, and Steve traveled to Detroit frequently to see his sweetheart. How did he travel? By horseback, of course. Actually, it was by train. In the fall of 1945, Steve made another trip to Detroit, and Barbara met him in the railway station. She received a special surprise on this occasion as Steve proposed to her right there in the station. Steve also received a surprise when Barbara said yes. The wedding took place at the Victory Center Chapel in Chicago, Illinois on March 2nd, 1946, and the couple enjoyed a 4-day honeymoon at the Stevens Hotel in Chicago.